Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Absolute devastation to liberation. 20-year relationship destroyed by cheating wife. Part 2. As my therapist and many others on this site have pointed out, I was the lobster in a pot. I didn't see the warning flags when she slandered my friends or told me her pals despised me. I didn't see the red signs when she purchased me near and show me about like a trophy. Well, I'm fairly fit and gorgeous. I didn't see the warning signals when she began traveling incessantly for business. I didn't see them when I asked her how she truly felt and if there was anything I could do to improve our connection. Part of it is love's eyes and part of it is her nefarious manipulation, which I couldn't see until now. For her, nothing was ever enough. Not my job, not our home, and not the effort I did on it. It was all a ruse that suited my codependency nicely. I wanted to mend things and be good enough, and she was extremely skilled at creating enough chaos and dangling enough goodies to keep me interested. I wasn't asking for love to be returned, but rather to love her so deeply that it was enough for both of us. With my mind clear, I decided that the divorce was going to happen, and with her wild attitude, it meant I was going to file all the papers. I wish I could conclude my mega rant here, but you've only seen the waking up to this point. The claws are about to emerge. We hadn't talked in 3 weeks, and I was certain that I was making the right choices in my life. I'm surrounded by friends, making progress, and getting insight. I understood I was in a trap and made the hard choice not to get back together. Ring! ! Ring. Oh my goodness, who could that be? It's my WS, and we were meant to meet for coffee to talk about the divorce and the tangled paperwork. She informs me she won't be able to make it at the appointed time, but that if I contact her 2 hours later, we can meet up. Fine. I go through additional hoops, and when I contact her, she says she's up at the neighboring family mountain cabin, and that I should come up for the week and stay with her. Okay, I'll just throw away all my integrity and the sliver of self-respect I found and jump back in the sack. No way. We're not going. After explaining the significance of going through the divorce process, I refused the offer. She becomes agitated and irritated that I am not eager to abandon everything in my life and rush up to the cottage. When I question her about the AP, she says he broke up with her as soon as I was out of the picture. I suppose karma is a fickle beast at times. When we eventually meet for coffee and I bring all the documentation, she compliments me on how well I look and how well I seem to be doing. Nope, I'm heartbroken, and this isn't a game to me. What's up? We go through the specifics of dividing up the home, which she claims she is entitled to more than half of. I'm not to touch her 401k, and as a compromise, I get to keep my 10-year-old company undisturbed. I'm going to continue on her insurance for the length of the divorce, and we'll have things sorted out as soon as possible. As I turn to go, she chases me and follows me to my vehicle, mumbling about something. I inquire, spinning on my heel, whether she has anything to say about herself. I'm desperately looking for regret, maybe a fragment of a piece of the person I thought loved me. It says something that seems more like a question than an answer. I'm sorry. And for what? I respond. For? Ooh. I really apologize for what I did. The words faded off, as though released by Zootopia's tiniest church mouse. It was a harmless attempt that reeked of shell shock from being caught, rather than regret in action. In some ways, it was beneficial since it confirmed that my assumptions were true and that I understood where I stood. She wasn't upset because of anything she did. She was sad because she had lost me as an asset with her cover exposed and now wanted this guy back in her life who had once done anything for her. It was the only apology I'd ever get. She asks what our story will be, and I hesitate to try to figure out what she's asking. So, what are we going to tell people? What are we going to say occurred, that we simply wanted to visit other people, or whatever? What is our story? Oh my gosh, yeah, you may say anything you want about our narrative, but I'm going to speak the truth to everybody who will listen. That's exactly what happened. You crushed my heart. You walked away from marriage, and now you want your cake. I've had enough, and I don't need to make up a tale to make myself feel better. Okay, bye. I turn and walk away, and as soon as I cross the street, a train arrives, putting an end to our talk. I quickly get in my vehicle and contact every one of her relatives about the divorce and what transpired. No, we're talking about Wolverine claws. I felt okay about closing the door, knowing there was no healthy way to mend things and acknowledging it wasn't a healthy relationship to begin with. Other catastrophes continued to come my way as the divorce process progressed. I was shot with a full-bore double-barreled shotgun. Our home flooded on Super Bowl Sunday 3 months before D-Day, when my WS was away on one of her business or escapades excursions. I went to a friend's house and returned home to discover our garage half filled with water. She was supposed to be in Amsterdam, where several field offices were located, but when I phoned to inform her of the calamity, it seemed like she was just next door. In any case, she simply begins shouting at me to repair it, which is exactly what I'm doing. If I had been wise, I would have dashed to Home Depot in the final few minutes. It was open and gotten a sump pump to empty the driveway. Fortunately, our garage was connected to a full basement and was located at the lowest point on the land. Water, on the other hand, has completely infiltrated the garage and almost burst the step up to gain admission into the home. I contact a buddy who is a landscape architect and can help in a variety of ways. We fill sandbags till midnight, but heavy rain is preventing us from progressing. We've protected the property for a few moments, but it's going to crest due to the year's record rainfall. We devised a plan to divert the water from the driveway into my basement utility room, where the drain is located. We get some 60-foot garden hoses and I start tubbing with my lungs to get the water to flow. It's effective. Aside from obtaining a taste of groundwater, I get a good continuous stream of gallons per minute streaming to the drain. The driveway does not retreat, but it also does not overflow. This afforded me some time to bail calf-deep water around the house, which I did by pulling up approximately 5 gallons at a time with a shop vac and heaving it over. We have one leaky gutter, and instead of draining down the French drain, it's overflowing onto the driveway. I begin filling a large rubbish can, which must be emptied every 3 hours or it will fill with rainwater. I'm soaking. I've been in the rain and water for 24 hours and I haven't slept. When I sleep, I set an alarm to get up and leave so that no harm is done. I fly to Home Depot the following morning and buy an electric pump, which practically saves the day. This modest $50 or less pump diverts over 3,000 gallons of water per hour and entirely moves the driveway down the street to run off in approximately 3 hours. Yes, I had about 9,000 gallons of water piled up on my driveway, leg to knee deep. The next day, I go to work and visit my landlord for the business. He owns a construction firm, and I tell him about my ordeal. He quickly contacts his disaster team and delivers free industrial dehumidifiers to the residents to soak up any water from the walls and structure. I leave them running for a few days, and the pump is still running in the driveway when my WS gets home. She begins to tell me that I was stressing her out with this scenario and that I should have told her when she returned. Okay, thought you'd be interested in the possibility of losing the home and almost causing $40K in possible damages. Then she continued to say that the pump in the driveway is like so humiliating and that if I don't move it, she would. It's still pouring and attempting to flood the home, and my neighbors have even come over to offer assistance. When I get home after a morning appointment, the pump has been relocated to the garage. I eventually get the pipe fixed, and the rain stops long enough for the water to drain. On the nose, about a week later, I have a terrible sickness that I can't seem to shake. On every given spring Saturday, I begin watching movies and napping. Mid-afternoon, my chest begins to pain severely and refuses to go away despite over-the-counter medicines. I tell my WS what's going on, and I believe it's becoming serious. Can't you look for yourselves, ugh? So I'm not driving you to the emergency room. I'll accompany you, but I'm not driving. Fine, I'll drive myself to the hospital. Thank you very much for coming with me, dear. I arrive at the hospital's emergency room and am checked in. When I arrive, they see that my oxygen level has dropped somewhat, but nothing serious. We've been waiting for nearly 3 hours, and my chest is hammering, making it difficult to breathe. My ex refuses to see me, so I to the front desk and almost fall down. They promise to come collect me and put me in a wheelchair. Stay tuned for the next part.